Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we will discuss a question: how globalized is economic life? Okay, so let's begin. See, we have a question: is economic globalization a myth or a reality? Have national economics effectively been absorbed into a single global system, or has nothing really changed? The world economy remains a collection of interlinked national economies. So, two starkly contrasting positions are often adopted in this debate. On the one hand, hyperglobalists present the image of a borderless global economy, in which the tendency for economic interaction to have a transborder or which transworld character is irresistible, facilitated, even dictated by advances in information and communication technologies, which are basically not now going to be disinvented. On the other hand, globalization spectators point out that the demise of the national economy has been much exaggerated, and usually for ideological purposes. Economic globalization is portrayed as advanced and irresistible in order to make a shift towards free market or new liberal policies appear to be inevitable. However, the choice between the model of a single global economy and a collection of more or less interdependent national economies is a misleading one. This is not to say that uh, there is no such nothing as the global economy, but only that this image captures only part of a much more complex and differentiated reality. So the world economy is better thought of as a globalizing economy than as a global economy. Now, the most important of these including the following: international trade, transnational production, global division of labor, and globalized financial system. So, an increase in international trade has been one of the most prominent features of the world economy since 1945. Over this period, international trade has on average grown at double the rate of international production. So, worldwide exports, for instance, grew from $6.29 million in 1960 to $7.3 trillion in 2003. Such trends were facilitated by the widely accepted link between trade and economic growth, exemplified by the success of export oriented economics such as Germany and Japan from the 1950s onwards, and the tiger economics of East and Southeast Asia from the 1970s onwards, and by a general trend towards free trade, punctuated briefly by a revival of protectionism in the 1970s. So, one of the novel features of international trade in the contemporary world economy is the increasing proportion of it that takes place within the same industry rather than between industries. Heightens heightens price competition, as you can see, and the rise of so-called intra-firm trade made possible by the rise of TNCs, transnational corporations, which we have already discussed. The growth of trade within firms rather than between separate individual firms is one of the clearest signs of intensifying globalization. So, on the other hand, spectators argue that trends in international trades are not a strong indication of the extent of globalization. For instance, there is little difference between modern levels of international trade and historical ones, and with the exception of intra-firm trade. So, the international trade promotes shallow integration and greater interdependence rather than a single globalized economy. Moreover, it is questionable whether the modern trading system has a truly global reach, in that around 80% of the world trade continues to take place between or among developed states, and most of this takes place within particular regions, in particular North America, Europe, and East and Southeast Asia, rather than between different regions. So, the issue of trans border production is closely linked to the growing importance of TNCs, which have come to account for most of the world's production and around half of world trade. Such corporations take advantage of global sourcing through their ability to draw raw materials, components, investment, and services from anywhere in the world. Crucially, they also have the advantage of being able to locate and relocate production in states or areas that are favorable to efficiency and profitability. For example, ones with cheap but relatively highly skilled sources of labor or low corporation taxes and limited frameworks of workers' rights. So, such trends, however, stop well short of a fully globalized system of production. Not only do most TNCs maintain strong links to their country of origin and therefore only appear to be transnational, but moreover, production continues overwhelmingly to be concentrated in the developed world. So, further evidence of economic globalization can be found in a strengthened global division of labor, although this falls short of establishing a single world labor market. Okay, clearer patterns of economic specialization have become evident. In particular, high technology manufacturing has increasingly been concentrated in the developed world, while for many poorer states, integration into the global economy means the production of agricultural goods or raw materials for export. Neo-Marxist and world system theories such as Immanuel Wallerstein have argued that economic globalization is an uneven and hierarchical process, a game of winners and losers, which has seen economic power concentrated in an economic core at the expense of the periphery. So, the global financial system is often portrayed as the driving force behind economic globalization. Even the foundation stone of the global economy, the global financial system, was brought into existence through two processes. So, the first was the general shift towards deregulated financial markets in the 1970s and 1980s that followed the move to floating exchange rates with the collapse of Bretton Woods. Finally, it's important to remember that the conventional debate about the extent to which economic life has been globalized is conducted within narrow parameters established by what is treated as productive labor and who are considered to be economically active. Despite the collapse of communism and uh, the wider the wider retreat of socialists, significant non-capitalist or at least non-commercial economic forms persist in many parts of the world. So, the feminist economists in particular have drawn attention to the vast, informal, invisible economy that relies on unpaid labor, predominantly performed by women in areas such housework, childcare, care for the elderly, and small-scale farming. Especially important in the developing world, this economy operates on lines of exchange and material arrangements that are entirely outside global markets. Do you know it may nevertheless be responsible for feeding a substantial proportion of the world's population? For example, although home gardens managed by women occupy only 2% of a household farmland in eastern Nigeria, that they account for about half of the farm's total output. So in Indonesia, 20% of the household income and 40% of domestic food supplies come from home gardens. So, as awareness of the significance of the invisible economy has increasingly influenced the development strategies embraced by the United Nations and the World Bank, not least because of a realization that conventional market based development strategies can undermine the invisible economy. Okay. So guys, that's all for today. If you like this video, hit the like button, share the video and do subscribe for the more video. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.